Welcome back to yet another edition of the Early Apex. I am Dylan, and we got also
Rob here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're coming back at you. Rob, what's our first topic going to be? I'm going to be leading us off here with, what was it again?
We are talking about Autocross versus Track days.
Oh, we might ruffle some feathers here. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions about this. If you've done it, you have an opinion.
Yes, and yeah. So why don't I lead off? I'll go through my history of this. I'm not, some crazy track guru or anything. We'll go through, both of our experiences, and then let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on the situation and play that out? So for me, I'll start with autocross. As many enthusiasts start their racing careers in a parking lot with cones, I was no different. I started with an automatic Saturn L series with all seasons that were overinflated, and
Wait.
I had a ball.
You autocrossed that. Automatic Saturn.
Yes, I did.
Wow. Props to you. Props to you for just getting out there, no matter what you were driving.
Listen, nothing was going to stop me. I was on a mission. I remember discovering the local SCCA website, realizing, my God, for $45, I could drive my plastic automobile as hard as I possibly could around the parking lot. I'm in. I am in.
I mean, I do that for free, Dylan. That's just any open parking lot. But
the first 2 or 3 autocrosses that I ever went to was with my Saturn L series, the car I learned how to drive on. The basis of base models. If anyone else knows, plastic car, never rusted. Honestly, I should have kept the car longer than it did, but yeah, that was my first experience. Was that? What about you? Let's go back and forth here. What was your first experience with autocross? And what? Yeah.
My first autocross was much more planned out. So I wanted to get into it, and I had gotten the Miata, and this was like right after college, and I already had the thing for a year, and I just want to get a little bit into auto sport, whatever. And I just I have to get the suspension done first and get the wheels and tires. And so I just
we had very different methods here.
Exactly. When really I should have just taken it out a day after I bought it and just sent it as is. But so I had all that stuff fresh done, and I did the autocross. They have a learning course where you get way more seat time. Yeah, the novice school, that's it. Yeah, where you get a lot of seat time. I still recommend this tons of people if they 100%. Aren't comfortable with car control and sliding a car around. Yep. Novice school is awesome, and you get a lot of seat time, which is I think where we're going with this.
Yeah, novice school is the way to do it, and it's very convenient that I've never done it. Actually, I've always wanted to do it, but I've never done it because of all the extra seat time that you get. For those that aren't aware, and I'm sure it differs between regions, but for the most part, an autocross, you have runs. It's kind of like a make or break moment. You only have a limited number throughout the day. A lot of the events that I'm doing, you might have 4, maybe 6 runs that last seconds.
Yeah. So
whereas a novice school, you're actually okay, we're going to do a slalom. And we're going to work on this slalom course, just like this specific part of the course for the next hour.
Yeah, it's literally a day of training. Yeah, I mean, for the uninitiated, autocross is basically you're in a parking lot. There's cones set up in the parking lot. You drive in between the cones from A to B. It's timed. Yep. And typically one run is 40 seconds to a minute. Yeah. And then you'll do, like you said, probably 5, 6, 7 of those in a day.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
We'll get to that. So you had your Miata all planned out. You had your suspension just right and dialed it all in, and then you went to autocross. So this was how recent are we talking here? How many years ago was this? I should have led. My Saturn was. We're talking. It might even be pre-college days. I might have been fresh out of high school. We're talking pre 2010 for sure. It's
Pre
been a while
2010.
ago.
All right, yeah.
Pre-2010.
So you hunted for the SCCA website. That was
yes. I didn't even know about it. The internet had just come out.
Right. You're like, what is this goggle thing I'm using? You're on like the Yahoo search or Ask Jeeves. Ask Jeeves was still around back then.
I'm still dialing it up, dude.
Jeeves, we're still dialing it up. To find the SCCA. Yeah, mine was a good bit more recent. That would have been 2017. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, and the Miata that you went with, is that the Miata you own today?
Yeah, that's still my baby. The second Miata I've owned, but yeah, now this is the long haul one,
Okay.
The one for me.
Yeah. Okay. This is good for me to know. I'm learning along with the audience a lot about you right now. No, so for me, yeah, I did autocross a while ago. I did it with the Saturn initially, and I made a hilarious mockery of what Saturns can do, and the instructors loved it, and it was hilarious. But I did do other cars. Later on, I bought, and I still own today, a Focus, just an SE. It was even before the Fiesta came out. I probably would have had a Fiesta if it had come out by then. And who knows? I might not even be here today because I probably wouldn't have ended up with a Miata.
Fiesta crew.
Yeah, because I would have been a Fiesta and I would have been moderately satisfied, thinking I was moderately satisfied. Unlike with an S, unlike with the Focus that I was at, where I was just thirsting to go into debt for any idea of a enthusiast car, and that's how I ended up with the Miata. But no, so I did end up doing the Focus, and for those that aren't aware, within Autocross, it is very much a spec series. Now that spec can be, depending upon your modifications, however advanced or minimal, and there's also a stock class. And my Focus was actually moderately competitive in the stock class. I was always in novice, but with the way that autocross is scored, there's this thing called PAX time, and it's basically what makes autocross terrible. It basically gives it takes your raw time, the stopwatch time, and says the stopwatch time doesn't matter. Your car is actually this amount that needs to be recalculated for your time. So here's your actual PAX time.
So you've got X tires that make you faster. So subtract X seconds from your run.
Exactly. And this was the downfall.
I wasn't aware
for me
that
in
was what made autocross bad, because I've done many more since then, but I've never just cared really at all about the classing. I just go and I see if I can go faster than I went the last round.
There are people there with a stopwatch. I must be faster than them. Come on, that is well, my.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still comparing myself to everyone else there, but it is amazing how many people are at autocross caring about competing in their classes. Everyone's really interested in the classing.
Yeah. So anyway, I was doing the Focus, and I was moderately competitive in the stock class, but then the Fiesta came out, and it was in the same stock class that I was. So there's all these different letters, starting, I think, from A to past H. I think that was an H stock, and I was one of the... Actually, H stock, I think, was the slowest class. God, I'm probably getting this all wrong, and everyone in the comments are going to blow me up. But yeah, this is the slowest class of car. Meanwhile, I have, a 3,000-pound NA, 140 horsepower on a good day Focus, and I had to go up to a car half the size with a turbo and double the power with the Fiesta ST. So that was it for me and autocross for the short term.
So you're mad about the competition, the way the competition was not fair.
I was upset with the spec. And I obviously was taking it way too seriously. My car was slow, and now I had to go up against a car that wasn't slow, and I didn't like that, Rob. I didn't like that at all. But also smattered in there were a couple other experiences that I do want to shed a little light on. It wasn't just Dylan wanting to go really fast in his really slow car. I also, early on, and this is still to this day was probably the most fun I ever had in a car. we went to an autocross. It was a downpour. We still went, and I got to borrow Nick25. Shout out if you're listening. Nick and I shared his FRS, and it was bone stock, still with the Prius tires, in a saturated autocross course, which was basically a skid pad. And Rob, it was like the most fun I ever had. It was like the most fun I've ever had.
Sounds fun. That does sound fun.
And so this is Dylan not being super competitive just yet. Just having a ball, driving with my right foot, just throwing mad inputs with the steering wheel, just always moving. I probably was overdriving, but I didn't care. I was having a ball. It was great. So that was one of my all-time experiences in a car. I also took my parents' Mini Cooper S. They let me borrow it. That was really interesting. I actually couldn't just floor it everywhere because this thing called wheel spin happened. I guess
front-wheel drive, and
it was the first time I had torque in a car. I was listen. I had the Saturn. I just wadded everywhere, and I eventually got there with the Mini. I had to gently throttle on. It was a weird concept for me at the time. So anyway, that's a real quick, not quick at all, a quick overview of what I've done with autocross. And then I did take my now Miata there once, just a while ago.
Yeah,
when it wasn't set up very well. I didn't even have a Torsen differential in it, or I didn't even have summer tires. It was atrocious, and I haven't looked back since. And that was a long time ago. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
So we've learned a lot about autocross, but I hear there's this other thing called a track day on a road course where the big boys play.
This is what I graduated to, Rob. This is what I graduated to.
So after years of frustration and torment by the classing of lowly autocross,
yes,
and the pencil pushers, the stopwatch holders,
yeah, it was time to spend some real money, Rob. All right, it was time to actually put your vehicle at risk and go to a track day. No, so what happened in my situation was, at this point, I was getting into my professional career, quote unquote professional. I use that term loosely. But yeah, I was making a little bit more money. I had moved away from home, and I had the Miata, right? Best track car ever. Well, I got to go take it somewhere. So I was living in Buffalo, Western New York at the time. And again, the Google provided the answer. I discovered Toronto Motorsports Park. And also, almost at the same time, Speed Academy. For anyone who doesn't watch Speed Academy, Canadian YouTube channel, you should watch them. They're awesome. And this was their home track. And this track is still the Wild West in terms of you show up, you pay him at the gate. I think it's 150, 120 US.
That sounds great.
And it's 6 hours. There's no tech. You don't even need a helmet. You don't need a helmet? You don't need a helmet, Rob. You don't need a helmet.
Now, I have heard that Toronto Motorsports Park is kind of anything goes. There's some sketchy corners, no safety.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds great.
Listen, this isn't in Canada. You didn't realize this, but you crossed the border into Texas. All right? It's the Wild West.
Canada is the Texas of racing.
Yeah. Toronto Motorsports Park, yes, is the Texas of the track day world. There you go.
I'm bringing my guns.
I'm making it sound worse than it is because I've now been there 5 times. And I will say that I really haven't had anything sketchy really happen, right?
Yeah. No one has a wheel off right in front of you because a car wasn't teched or...
Yeah, I will say I do kind of sit back and be like, this wouldn't really fly anywhere else. When you have, 2 people jumping in a car after having a barbecue, and I'm sure there were alcohol ingested, jump in a car, no helmet, and go on track.
Yeah, I heard I was at a track that is the cheaper track of this area with a bit less rules. But even there, I asked, "Oh, can I have a passenger in the car?" I said, "Oh no, you have to have like X qualification because a few years back, someone was showing off with their girlfriend in the car. They got in an accident and he killed her, right? And because the police had to be involved, obviously, and since then, the police are like, you can't do X, Y, Z,
Yeah. So anyway, where I'm going with this is it's all about the day you go. Right, so the first time I was there, we went during the week. It was right across the border. It was like an hour, 2 hours away, and there was nobody there. It was like the entire 6-hour time. I think there were a total of 6 cars, and I was having 20-minute stints with nobody else on the track.
Yeah.
Whereas the evening shift rolled in, and there was like the equivalent of Grid Life or some like Time Attack series was going to be racing the next day. We were there on a Friday. It was going to be racing Saturday. And all hell broke loose that night of them all like, feeling out the track and stuff. And it's funny enough because the owner of the track came over and he's like, hey, if you guys want to stick around, I know it was wet at the beginning of the track day. You kind of missed, a little bit of time. You guys could stay if you want. He was also asking questions about, what it takes for U.S. people to come over and that sort of thing. But Matt and I kind of looked at each other. I went with my buddy Matt. And I'm like, you know what? We've won this one. The car's in one piece. We're tired. We probably had 4 hours of track time between the two of us. We've won this round. Let's go home. And I'm good on us because we turn around and we start seeing all these, track prepped, my goodness, cars just like hitting the track out in like droves, and it was chaos.
Yeah. Guys driving fast, passing all over the place.
Yeah. So and then it's gone from there. It's evolved from there. I've done a number of other tracks: Barber Motorsports Park, New York State Safety Track. I've got a bunch of stickers on my helmet. I don't remember all the tracks off the top of my head, but knocking them off, and of course collecting the stickers. That's all the point, right? If as soon as you get back from a new track, you got to order those stickers to show off, on the helmet.
So we talked about your journey. I think that really surmises the journey of most like auto enthusiasts who want to get into driving fast on in these scenarios on a closed course. But let's get to the part where we argue. So
okay.
So right, autocross versus track day.
Yeah.
So we said autocross, you get like whatever 5, 6, 7 minutes of seat time.
Yeah.
You're going to be there all day, right? Because so the other thing that Dylan has not mentioned is that at autocross, everyone works. So you pay your $40-$50. But you still have to work when you're not driving. So you're out there like on cone duty. Someone knocks a cone over, you got to run out there, put it back. Or you
might be working timing or helping out with the timing situation.
Right. So it's really grassroots. Everyone's involved, which is awesome. But it also means you spent 6 hours of your Sunday just standing in a parking lot
for 6 runs. Yeah,
for 6 minutes of driving.
It's tough.
Which can be tough. It can be taxing, and sometimes it is not fun. And then the track day, of course, you've got a ton of seat time. Even at the worst track day, you're probably going to get at least an hour of seat time, at least. Most of them you're getting close to 2. So way more time. I would say most track. By the time you're done, you're like, I don't want to drive anymore. Like, it's a lot of time focusing, and then. You get to go faster.
Yes.
You get to go faster. Who doesn't want to go faster? And you feel like a big boy because you're on like a racetrack where like actual like professionals play around.
Exactly.
I think this really gets to the root of it, the pros and cons.
Yes.
Now the downside of the track day is it's expensive as hell.
Super expensive.
Sometimes you can find one, like you said, where there's no rules and no regulations and a few potholes on the track, and it's $150 for your day.
But it's high risk.
But it's and on the high side, you could spend $500 for a day.
Yeah.
$500 or $600. it's high risk, right? You're driving fast. There are walls. Even if you don't hit the walls, you can hit the grass the wrong way and flip your car. Like, it is very possible. It's also way harder on your car. Like, you can do an autocross in any stock car. You can pick up your mom's PT Cruiser, has been serviced in a decade, and autocross it. It probably won't break. Yeah. Probably won't break.
Yeah.
But on a track day, you're guaranteed to break it. Like, you're gonna boil your
you're
brake
gonna boil those
fluid.
brakes. Oh yeah.
There are a lot of things that go wrong.
Yeah.
And let's see, what's the other one here I'm missing? I feel like there's another downside to the track day.
Well, I mean, I said high risk already, but like, there is a very good chance that if you make a mistake, or if you're working on your own car like we do all the time, and you did something wrong, something comes loose or something,
highly likely
you might leave the event with no car anymore.
Absolutely.
That is so unlikely in an autocross. I have seen clips. We've probably already seen clips of, like, wheels falling off. There's an RX-7 video out there
somewhere.
Yeah, there's like an RX-7 video out there where all four wheels like pop off in unison at an autocross. That's obviously like user error. But yeah, sometimes there's a curb. You might curb your car or something, but it's way lower risk.
Way lower risk.
The big thing.
I think I do like also the track days. I find, you know what? This is an equal, because at an autocross you can find this too. Everyone's really friendly, and you can always find a more experienced driver to ride in your car and teach you and tell you the best lines and whatever. And it's like pretty much always like free. Sometimes at a track day you have to pay more for the novice, because then you're guaranteed the instructor the whole time. But either way, you're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, my biggest thing is if you are the Dylan of circa 09 and you just want to go fast, you've never done it before, you've never had a high performance driving situation, you should do autocross. I think everyone could learn something from it.
100.
Totally. In the novice class, you're always going to get an instructor in the car. I've got so many good pointers on there. And if you can, do the novice school day one. I would do a novice school tomorrow, to be perfectly honest.
What's stopping you, Dylan? What's stopping you?
A wedding, maybe. Life. No, I would 100% do that. Or you can also do a test and tune. For those in the know, they might be doing like a test and tune the day before an autocross to like test the track or something like that. If you get in with like the group, you might be able to find it. And it's a similar situation. You're not going to have an instructor, but you can do a lot more in a given amount of time.
Yeah, a lot more runs.
So I 100% should do an autocross. For me, more power to you if you do this. I just can't take autocross seriously. I can't do it. I just can't do it. The rules are just like are made up and make no sense to me at all. Like this PAX time.
What, you don't like that you're allowed to run a stiffer sway bar by 1.5 millimeters, but you can't have adjustable end lengths?
Or like you can have an intake, but you can't do a manifold and stay in this. I just don't like all the rules. And then because here's the thing, Rob. This is the problem with taking it seriously. If you want to win, depending upon the way the rules are, you got to own this car and you got to do this to it. And it's like everyone ends up with a spec series anyway. And I just don't find that interesting at all. Yeah. So yes, I am I competitive when I do a track day? Yeah, I'm that guy. Sorry. I'm just, that's who I am in my DNA. But it is more laid back in that I'm racing myself. Right, I don't have one yet.
Well, in that there is no classing for you to be competitive about.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
that's the benefit. There is no structure for Dylan to get.
I am mandatorily limited by the way the event is organized. Where I'm gonna have an aim solo. I'm just looking at that time, and I'm working my way down on the time. I'm just racing myself. And then I also, am looking at other, cars that I'm similar to, and I'm trying to like be in that realm. But yeah.
You're gonna ask the other guy with the Miata or whatever. Yeah. Oh, like what kind of times are you running? Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
But you're not obsessing over these classic. This is a damn shame. I thought we were gonna have something to argue about. I totally agree. I think if you're a newbie and you want to like get some experience, like driving fast, taking a car to the limit, do an autocross, do the novice school. There is no better way to like learn in a safe way that someone can teach you how to slide the car, what to do when you're oversteering, understeering, etc. There's no better way
to have
There's no
the
better
car
way.
move around. Yeah,
exactly. And I think even if you start with a track day, and I actually have a friend who's getting into it now. He has a GT350, so a very fast car, a very capable car, and he hasn't done any autocrosses, but he's done a few track days now, and he's doing good. He's got a lot of talent, but he's still like not comfortable once a car starts sliding on him. And that's something that's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to learn on track, especially in a fast car like that. Because as soon as you start sliding, stuff's happening really fast. You know, really
and
fast.
And it's much more dangerous because you're at a much higher speed. Right?
You got other cars around you. You can go off track. Maybe there's a wall close. Exactly. And I think that the autocross is like a really nice soft entry into it. Yeah, maybe after like 2 of them, you're like, screw standing in a parking lot for this much. Or you're like Dylan and you got obsessed over classing, but you can't win in your class. And so you've gone out and bought a car just so you can win your class against a bunch of other guys racing around in a parking lot for $40.
I couldn't do it. And then the last thing, too, to top this all off, for anyone who doesn't know, Stefan Knapp worked with him on a channel. We built a track car. It was this time last year, and we didn't have to build it to a spec. Now that might come back to bite us. That might come back to bite us.
You're not. You're not racing in a series.
Yes, no, and that's the thing. Like we could do whatever we wanted to. We gutted the doors. We, did the modification that we wanted to do. The car is definitely not sorted out. Sorry, it is not sorted out at all. But you can have fun with it. Again, it's not to be overly serious.
I think you're missing the fact that you could also do that with autocross. Like no, you can go to autocross and not.
There's too many. They're
don't
posting
look at the
results.
classes.
They're
just
posting results. I'm at the bottom with my Saturn. I need to not be at the bottom with my Saturn.
I just look at the list and I just pick a random class. I said that one looks cool. And then I don't think about it once. I just go and I'm like, my time was faster than last time.
This is a personal problem that I need to work on.
Oh, man.
All right. Let us know. Are you like me, or am I just having a moment? Maybe I'm just having a Dylan moment. It wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last.
Just completely obsessed with competition.
You're getting to see my hand. Oh boy. Yeah. oh boy. Let us know down below. Have you done autocross? Do you do track days now? I honestly, I'd jump into autocross tomorrow.
It has to be the right autocross. And you know what? I'm jumping in here and I'm ruining this little outro.
No, you're fine.
I'm just going to say, like, in my area, there's a couple different places where they do the autocross. And one is an airstrip. And so the track is like the same every time. It's basically slalom, and the slalom is basically just weaving between cones in a straight line, right? Slalom, U-turn, slalom, over. And it's just boring. It's just boring. That's tough. And there's no trees. Like, there's nowhere where you can stand to be in shade, really.
I'm like, trees, that's a good thing. Why is this a bad thing, Rob?
No, I want shade. I don't want to have to bring like a whole tent to get some shade. And I've got a Miata with no AC. It's just like a hot day. And I've done it a couple times, and I'm like, I'm not doing this course again. But there's other places with much bigger lots that have more features, or one is like on a slight angle, so you get like these off camber turns, which are cool, and on camber, and those are always way more fun. The track is really interesting. Like, I'll do those every time, so I think that really makes a big difference too. And I'm sure track days are the same. Like, some tracks are not as fun as others, some have more potholes, some don't. Like,
I've even done an autocross on a go-kart track. An outdoor go-kart track.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, you know what? Then they have autocrosses on racetracks. Like Pocono does autocrosses all the time on their infield. And so there's like, you're on the track, but there's extra cones you have to follow that make it slower.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you want to know what I really want to do, Rob?
Tell me. I want to know.
I want to do rallycross. That's what I really want to do. I want to do rallycross, and I'm not going to be that guy. Famous last words. Not going to be that guy staring at the sheet because I'm going to be reliving that FRS moment in the mud, sliding around with a million inputs in the wheel, all probably wrong, but a million inputs in the wheel, just counter steering, pretending to be Colin McRae. Like
I have a solution for you. Not that I also want to do rallycross, drifting.
Yeah.
Drifting. Get a drift car. There's no times at all. You can't compete if you want to. It's all style points.
Oh man.
You know, just drifting. There you go. You get to just.
I like that. Let's end on that note. We don't have much drifting around here, but that's a good point. I like that.
All right, guys. What do? You do autocross? Do you track days? Do you hate one or the other? You're sick of autocross? You're like, I'm not gonna almost total my car every time I go to a track day. Like, it's not worth it for the risk. Where are you at on the spectrum? You know, what are you feeling?
Let us know.
So moving right along into the FMK section, this is where one of us picks 3 different cars. We've been doing genres, so I'm sticking with the genre. 3 different cars, and the other person has to decide which one they're gonna F. So just have one wild ride with, one wild track day, one day. You get one day with the car, and anything you want with it.
Anything goes.
The marry, which is this is the car you're keeping forever. This is your forever car, your life partner. Everything you want. They've got the perfect balance of compromise that fits you. And then you've got the kill, which is get this thing out of here. It's nothing but trouble. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to regret it. Crush it. Send it to the crusher.
Oh, yeah.
So we are doing classic supercars.
Ooh.
Yeah, and by classic, it's more of a modern classic I'm going for here. But these are sort of, I think, the best that each manufacturer has to offer, in my opinion, and a little nostalgia.
Ooh, I think I know where we're going with this. Oh, this is gonna be tough. I think
we are going to start right here with a 1991 Lamborghini Diablo. Now, all right, I'm sending the bat auction for this one I have in mind. Now, this is a bright red Diablo. 91, so it's pre SV or VT. So we're talking rear wheel drive on this guy. It's got the classic, I don't even know what to call them, 5-hole wheels. So deep dish in the back, and they just have 5 holes, kind of like the Porsche dial tone dial spoke wheels. Obviously legendary car. It's got 6-speed gated, 12-cylinder, 5.7 liter engine. It's making close to 500 horsepower. It's a beast. It's got a transmission tunnel wider than the rest of the interior. So then we are going for another
Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo. We're going for what I think is Ferrari's best.
Here we go.
An F430, 05 F430 gated 6-speed.
That was not what I was expecting.
So this is the last mid-engine manual car that Ferrari made. I think I might be wrong there. I don't think it's the last manual Ferrari made, but it is the last mid-engine manual Ferrari made, because after the 430 came the 458. So this is a V8 car. Little bit down on power compared to Diablo, but probably just as fast because it's a lot lighter than a Diablo, if memory serves. It's making I believe it makes 480 horsepower actually. So it's right on spec with the Diablo. 4.3 liter V8, flat plane crank engine, just screams up to redline, right?
Yep.
And finally, we have got what I do believe is Porsche's Porsche's greatest achievement in the classic 911 line. This is the 911 GT3.
Yep.
And for Porsche nerds out here, this is a 997.2 GT3 RS 4.0, which actually is worth more than both of the other cars, believe it or not.
Oh my God.
This is the 2011. A brief history of the GT3 of that era. Basically, Porsche just went buck wild on the 997.2. I believe it was the end of the Mezger engine. And they were like, we're just going to build the baddest motor we can. So they went up from a 3.8 to a 4.0. And they already made a GT3 RS with the 3.8. And they're like, let's make one with the even better motor in it. So this is a 500 horsepower motor a decade ago. It has basically the same amount of power as the current GT3 12 years ago.
Wow.
And it's a monster. Manual transmission, insanely, super fast, super connected driving car. Old Mezger engine, so it's got like that different sound than the newer ones have, and it's worth $500,000. $500,000, and this was the cheap one on BAT.
My God,
that's worth $500,000.
Okay.
So these are your three options. They're all about the same power. They're all like close to 500 horsepower. All manual transmissions. All awesome drivers' cars, but for different reasons.
This is an interesting selection. So I'm going to jump in here. So the first thing, you went with the Diablo. I immediately thought when you were queuing up the Ferrari, you're going Ferrari F430.
Yeah.
But what you've done here, whether you realize it or not, you've selected the top three companies, the first three exotics that everybody thinks of companies, but from different decades.
From different decades.
Diablo,
And I think that's where
90s,
they came.
Yeah. Diablo's 90s, the F430 thousands, and then the Porsche 911, the early 2010s. So just kind of interesting. These are very different cars.
Yeah, one from each decade.
Oh man, I don't have an immediate gut instinct. The one thing that I will start off by saying is the Diablo. Let's start with the Diablo. This is, I think, when they really started dialing in, like, the lines of Lamborghini.
Okay.
Right? You have the Countach before this, but, like, that rear quarter is, like, just so Lambo in my mind.
Yeah. It is a sexy car. I mean, and that is why it's my favorite. Like, this was the car I grew up with, and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Like, this was the car, and I agree. I think that the Diablo is like a much better looking car than Countach. The Countach is obviously crazy, but the Diablo is just like beautiful, elegant lines while also being extreme.
Yeah. Now the F430 does nothing for me.
Nothing. Like, well, in the looks department, we're saying.
In the looks department. Yeah, like this is when I started not paying as much attention to Ferrari's design, to be honest. They're getting away from the wedge.
Right. This is when we left the wedge and the square shapes of like the 355 and the Testarossa and all those, obviously.
The rear is still very Ferrari. You could even find like elements of the F50 there.
Oh,
like
yeah, with the four circle taillights. Oh, yeah.
Quad tips. That's still very Ferrari, but like I just
You're right. It's a much softer, less extreme looking car. For sure.
Yeah. And then the Porsche, like, this is the classic marry choice. I'm just going to call it out. I don't know if I'm going to marry this just yet. I'm still working this out in my head. But this is the classic marry choice. And I will say this. This is what every person, if you have a tuner car, whether it's a Japanese or Euro car, sports car, you are modifying your car in an attempt to make it a GT3.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, that is what you are trying to do.
Anyone that utters the words OEM Plus is doing what Porsche did with the GT3. 100%.
Or a street. I want my Miata to be a street-going track car.
That's a GT3. That's a GT3.
That's what you're trying to do. And then the thing is, what Porsche has been able to do is capture lightning in a bottle. Is they were able to do that and make a car that is still somewhat comfortable, and somewhat livable. My Miata is a quote unquote a street going track car, and it is not livable.
I think my Miata would probably be on par with like the Diablo in terms of like reliability, streetability, and comfortability.
It's just not.
That does not say much.
Yeah, it's not. It's too loud. Like no creature comforts. It drones. Like it's just.
Oh, it's the GT3 is a marvel that they can put that capability with that packaging and comfortability.
Now, that said, if Gran Turismo, if I've learned anything from Gran Turismo 7, it's that I don't really like the way that 911s drive. I don't. They drive differently. Oh. Whether they've done a good job in GT or they haven't, but that rear engine, the weight bias, the way they're set up, it's not the car that I'm gravitating towards to just go drive.
Every turn you went into under braking, you spun it, right?
Well, yes. It's weird. You have to drive the car differently.
Just totally like different. It's really different.
A front-wheel drive car versus a rear-wheel drive car versus a Porsche 911. Like, it is that distinct.
You brake super early, and you get back on the power super early. Yeah.
Now, Porsche does make... Now, I haven't driven these cars in real life, but they do make... what I do gravitate towards driving is the Cayman GT4. I love that car. And there still is a weight distribution difference, but the weight's not all the way in the tail. And I can turn laps in that car on Gran Turismo. I love it. I love the car so much in that game. So 911s have kind of gone down a notch. Now, should I be judging this on a video game? No, I shouldn't be. But it has kind of 911s have kind of taken a notch down. I am more of a Cayman guy.
All right.
So with that all said, I'm going to have to... Let's just start with crushing. Let's get one of these out of here.
Oh, no.
Let's crush one of these things. I can't... I wasn't a Lambo kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Ferrari fanboy. I had Ferrari posters, not Lambo posters, but I'm crushing that Ferrari. I'm crushing it.
Oh.
I am crushing it.
Oh,
Ferrari
Dylan.
died before that car came out in my mind.
Oh, Dylan.
So that car's gone.
Oh.
That car's gone. And you know what? I'm making a snap decision. Diablo, let's take it out. One, no rules drive. Let's hear that thing sing. It's probably terrible to drive. Maybe it's not, but it's probably terrible to drive. But let's just take it to the limit without consequence. And you know what? Let's marry the great looking but slightly awkward option, right? Which is the
bar soap.
The bar soap. The bar soap. Yeah. The car that's been being made for decades. Being remade for decades, but they've really dialed in. And it's too good of an all-around car. That's the problem. Yeah. It's just too good of an all-around car.
Yeah. I think you went with the clear choices here, Don. I think you really went right down the line.
Wow.
Yeah. I think those are the clear choices. Oh, man, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for me too. And I think I'm right there with you on those picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Porsche fanboy. I've gotten the pleasure to drive quite a few. The GT3 is an amazing car. Rear engine or not, it's an easy car to drive. It's so much fun. I think one thing that you didn't mention is engine note, or just engines, right? Because all these cars are also about the engine, right? They all have just incredible character, right? You've got the flat six, you've got the classic Ferrari 8 and the 12. That Ferrari 8 sounds so good. I mean, they all sound great, but out of all those notes, the Ferrari 8 is my favorite.
And is that also what you used for our intro? Is that the soundbite? Is that the soundbite that you have for our intro? What flyby is that? Is that the Ferrari?
Yeah, no, it is. That is a Ferrari. That's an F430. That's an F430. Yeah,
I've just
got
crushed our intro.
Every episode, you're hearing an F430 that has like a full exhaust and no cats.
I knew it was garbage. Just teasing. It sounds amazing. It sounds
that
amazing.
That is one of the loudest cars I've ever heard. With the it's so loud, but when you're driving it, it doesn't feel like you're in this insanely loud car. But then you go through a tunnel and it's like all you can hear, and it's amazing. And I bet I mean they're both like that. And I mean the Porsche Flat 6s sound awesome. Like that's a good sounding motor, but it doesn't have that like raw motorsports. Like there's just something about that Ferrari that's just it's incredible.
This is super vain on me. I think the choice, a lot of it came down to the looks.
Yeah.
And that Ferrari, I've never been a fan of the look of that car.
I'm gonna agree with you. It's not the best looking Ferrari. I think Ferraris now actually look much more interesting, aggressive.
Yes.
Like 48 or really the F8. I love the look of the F8. It's a beautiful, beautiful car, and it looks extreme. It looks like a supercar.
Yep.
In a way that the F430 is really soft looking, and not extreme.
Yeah. The Ferrari went through a bit of a dip design-wise.
360, 430, soft cars, 550 Maranello.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a little boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it got crushed.
Look, some of us are interested in what's inside, and some of us are only interested in the superficial, and that's all right, Dylan.
Yeah,
I won't judge you
wanted
for
to
that.
marry the quirky, good-looking girl. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm doing in October. So that's that fits. That tracks in my life. Yeah.
I think you made the wise choice. She's got like the engineering degree. She's going to continue to be worth more and more money.
Oh yeah, she's the one that's making more money.
She's super reliable. She's got your life scheduled out every week. You have like the weekly budget meeting. Like
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
You're not going to go wrong.
The Diablo is still whispered about to this day. There's still crazy stories
when you're with the boys.
But you don't know where the Diablo is today. There's only rumors, right? There's only rumors about that car. Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Oh man.
Yeah,
all right,
so
what are you guys picking?
Yeah. What do you guys? Comment down below. Let us know. This is good.
And is the 430 ugly? That's what I want to know. Is the 430 not live up to Ferrari standards? Don't know.
Yeah, I'll fight you in the comments. It doesn't.
All really incredible supercars there. Even the Porsche, I think you call the GT3 a supercar. But I think these days there's a really big problem with supercars and hypercars especially. Now, not that, that matters to me or 99.999% of all of you, because none of us can afford a $2.5 million car. But right now, there are so many special edition cars. There's so many insane 1 of 20, 1 of 30, 1 of 1 hypercars out there. You've got Lamborghini, month after month releasing super special editions like, whatever, all carbon fiber bodied Aventador, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've got McLaren making cars like the Speedtail or the Senna. You've got Ferrari making SF90, all over.
And then you also have like Aston Martin making the Valkyrie,
right?
And like
the Valkyrie,
all these other
great example. And then you have like 30 boutique automakers, probably 10 of them all in Saudi Arabia, making these 1,000+ horsepower supercars that look
allegedly.
Allegedly, we'll see if anyone gets one. Making some really insane cars. And here's my problem.
Tell me your problem. What's your problem with all these cars?
Dylan, you can't drive any of them. You can't drive them. You can hardly drive an Aventador around. It's so wide. There's so many blind spots. The transmission is terrible.
Yep.
And like stuff like, the Senna. I mean, where the hell are you going to drive it other than a racetrack? You know, I mean, let alone like, let's say you're daring enough to take it out on the public roads, right? And you're okay with scratching the splitter a few times, like that's all right. You can live with it. But it's such a fast car, so much downforce, like it's
so low.
You can't get anywhere close to the limit with it on a public road.
Yeah.
With any like head on your shoulders, you know, you're not doing that. You have to take it to a track. And a lot of these cars are like, you know, I mean, I guess if you've got the money for that, you can also pay to have a whole team come out with you to the racetrack, rent a racetrack for a day and drive it around. But yeah, cars are tools, right? They're not artwork. And so many of these, I feel like they're all just built to be art. They're built to go sit in someone's collection, boost someone's ego, and say I have one of this spec, of this color, of this hypercar that only me and 10 other people were even allowed to buy. But you can't drive it, and a car is a tool. Like a car is made to be driven, and you can't drive them. And it kind of gets under my skin a little bit.
You know, yeah, because here's the thing. I think, is it the Valkyrie that's like literally you don't even... I don't know if you can even drive that on the road.
I believe you can register the Valkyrie. There's also a version you can't register. Okay. I think you can register a Valkyrie. I don't know if you will be able to in America, but it is... I mean, it's less... You'd be better off getting like a 911 Cup car to drive around on the road.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like if all you can do is take one of these cars to the track, then why are you not just getting like a track dedicated car that's like a race car?
Right.
Like, I mean, what's the justification?
The Cup car is going to be faster anyway, you know?
Yeah. And it's less consequences. You'll be able to take it to the limit a lot sooner. You know, you don't have to do all these other things.
Exactly.
Don't have all this anxiety about like the prices and stuff.
Right, yeah. I mean, you mess up the bumper on your Valkyrie.
Yeah.
You can't get another one. I mean, I'm sure Aston Martin will make you one eventually, but like
at some point,
you know, and I mean, this is an original thought. I mean, Chris Harris has harped on this quite a few times. It's, you know, it's just, where's the joy of that? You know, unless all you want to do is stare at it. Yeah. But you know, for $2 million, you know, I don't know. There's other stuff I could stare at. I don't know.
So let's say, what is the solution then?
So
aside from going off,
there's something I've been kind of obsessed with, and this is, I think this is what the industry's been missing, and I think it's showing. Gordon Murray, he is famous for designing the McLaren F1, right? And I think really he should be famous for his 20 plus years working in the F1 industry, and he worked for I'm going to mispronounce this, Brabham Racing. So he was their chief engineer, chief vehicle designer for years and years and years. He designed like the fan car for them when they had that for half a season. Like really incredible racing career and engineering career in racing. And then after that, he went and did the F1. He was involved with the
McLaren F1,
yeah, Mercedes SL.
No.
The big long one. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Anyway,
the giant wing. I know exactly the car you're
the long
talking
one
about.
with the gold wing. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
And so now he's come back to build basically his answer to the F1. He's like, I'm going to build the F1 again, except with all modern technology, and fix everything that wasn't right about the F1 and make the greatest driver's car the world's seen, essentially.
That's cool.
And I've been nerding out over it so much. And I think it fits me and you's ethos over cars, right? So Gordon's like, add lightness, right?
Yep.
Add lightness. You don't need unnecessary things. And it needs to be drivable. So it needs to be reasonably sized, not like wider than a Hummer H1. Like you need to be able to drive down a country road with it. It needs to have ground clearance so you don't have to, do a 20-point turn to get into your driveway, or to get into every parking lot you see. And it's manual. It's manual. It's not about
it's
going fast.
manual.
To hell with the numbers, you know?
Oh,
I mean, hell,
my
we're all going to
God.
get beat by electric cars anyway.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
So it's just like
Absolutely.
to hell with the numbers. I haven't even seen a 0 to 60 or a quarter mile time for this car yet.
That is
But-
so cool.
So
He's not selling it off of that. He's not selling off the numbers.
no. And so what he's got is a car the size of a Porsche Boxer, like a new Porsche Boxer.
Yep.
It weighs under 2,200 pounds.
Wow.
And
That's light.
it also is like, you know, the engine's the heart of the car. It's what real, you know, it's so much the driving experience. And so he went to Cosworth and was like, build me an engine from scratch that will be the
Cosworth.
highest revving engine ever in a production car. 13,000 RPM.
Oh my
13,000.
gosh. Yeah, this is scratching
RPM.
all the itches for me.
And that's a V12 revving to 13,000. Which is, I mean, it's astronomical, you know.
That's like F1. That might even beyond F1. Old
In some
V12s
eras,
and
yeah, in
V10s.
some eras it was. And so here's one detail about the motor that I love. So most engines, right, you have a timing belt or a chain, right? And that's
Yep.
connecting the crankshaft to the cams up top
Yep.
and keeping everything in time.
Yeah.
Because it's spinning so fast and because of the slop in those systems, they won't work. And so it has timing gears. Gears, all machine.
my
That's pure racing technology. Like no other production engine has like gear. I mean, maybe at some point there was. I'm sure someone will tell me.
Oh, that's
you know,
so cool.
But it has gears, which is wild. And also, so Gordon's like, I want people to drive them. You hardly have to service the engine. He's like, you don't have to service like anything on it. You know, he's just like, you change the oil. The service intervals are like change the oil every 5,000 miles or like, you know, a few thousand miles. And
Yep.
that's it. And then there's like a 50,000 mile service. But you don't have to
Wow.
replace a belt. You don't have to
Yep.
do like all this other like stupid stuff that you'd find on like any like Ferrari flat 12 or you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's a driver's car. The tires on it are off the shelf. They're not bespoke size. They're just off the shelf PS4Ss.
Yeah, and here the thing that I find most interesting about this whole thing is, and I know we've talked about this before. I'm not sure if we've done this officially on one of our podcasts or not, but I very much in the same vein of electric's the fastest. You've got hypercars now that are hybrids. Like that, if you want to win the numbers, if you want to win, you know, the page on Motor Trend that has like the fastest 0 to 60, you got to go that direction. I've been wondering, when was the passion project going to go? I wouldn't necessarily call this mainstream, but when is somebody going to build an all-out experience like passion car? You have elements happening right
Yes.
now with like Singer. I'd say Singer is making that of like Porsche. It's not an OEM, but they're making like the ultimate emotional continuation
Totally
of what
agree.
it
I
meant
think
to
they're
be. Like,
they
the
were
ultimate
bringing
Porsche.
that to the mass
Yeah.
market to say like not mass market, but they're bringing it to the public to say
They're bringing, yeah, they're putting it on the radar.
yeah.
Of the media of like, hey, this is not about the fastest Porsche. This is about the most Porscheiest Porsche.
Yes, the
Right?
most Porscheiest Porsche.
The most
I don't
Porscheiest
think
Porsche.
that Rob Singer could have said it better
Yeah.
himself, you know, or not
Well,
Singer,
it's,
but
and it's all
Rob.
about the experience. From the look of it to like the fact that they like recreated the Porsche wheels, but at a different offset and a different depth and a different size, just to make it look just perfect. So I've been wondering when there'd be like a supercar that was designed around this, and of course, it's this guy to
Of
do
course,
it.
it's Gordon Murray. Yeah,
of course it
it's
is.
Gordon
Of
Murray.
course
I mean,
it
you
is.
listen to him talk 5 minutes about driving, and you're like, oh, okay. Like this guy gets it. Like this guy just
He's
wants to drive
articulating-
cars.
He's articulating my driving soul. I can't put into words what I want to experience like Gordon Murray can. Everything. I did nerd out about this over a recent Smoking Tire podcast. He was a guest on. They were even talking about how low the front windshield is, and the fact that like he's got a single wiper. It's not hidden. Because all the modern sports cars or modern supercars and hypercars, they hide them, so they make the cowl of the hood higher to hide the wipers. He's
okay.
like, no, screw that. We're gonna have a single wiper down the middle. We're gonna buy like 2 inches there. Plus, he's done something different with the dash to buy another 2 inches. And the fact is, like, the windshield, if you look at it, you don't really see it until you see somebody standing next to the car. The windshield is so incredibly low that you can see, I think he said 8 meters in front of the car. So your sight lines
I hadn't
are just
heard this detail yet. Yeah. I mean, hell, you hop in a new Camaro these days,
You're in a jail cell.
You're looking through a slit.
You're in a
looking
jail
through
cell.
a slit. It's like you're a medieval archer. Like
Yes,
it's it's ridiculous. The visibility is terrible.
Be invaded. Yes, it's 100% that.
And right, yeah, it's that's the usability, like you're not worried driving the thing. It's
meanwhile,
easy.
now you have a supercar that fits on a public road, that the sight lines are designed that you can place it easily. Like I've driven the Camaro, I adapted to it, and it actually did kind of shrink around me. I remember the first time I sat in one. It was in like a car show, and like I remember just feeling so incredibly claustrophobic that I just had to start like laughing. I was laughing out loud alone in the driver's seat of a Camaro just because it's just like, this is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
How is this thing? Fast forward, I did drive one and it did kind of fall away. But yeah, it's so compromised. Like, I don't know where I am.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, we're going on about no experience, blah, 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 blah. It has 650 horsepower and weighs 2,200 pounds.
That's nuts.
650 and weighs 2,200 pounds. And most supercars these days are weighing around 3,000. Like even the light, McLarens are pretty light, and a 765 LT is like 3,000 pounds, makes 750 at the wheel. I mean, and like that's probably going to be slower than this because it weighs 2,200 pounds.
And even if it was faster, that's not the point.
Well, it's not. I mean, also.
Right? Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of driving a 720, and I mean, it is insanely fast. No one, like, you don't need to go faster than that. Like, unless you're competing, like, that, you blink and you're where you want to be. Yeah. It's wild. So,
and here's the other thing too, that I don't think I understood until I really started driving other people's cars that were a lot faster than my silly little Miata. Power is experienced in one direction, in a moment, right? Like, I got to drive that Camaro, or I got to drive, a Shelby GT3 and it, awesome sounding engine. But it's experienced accelerating, and then it's gone. Whereas if you drive a super light car, I got to drive a Lotus Exige. At any speed, it's exciting. At any speed, there's a fizz there because it is so light. Now, do I want one? Okay, I want one. But like at any speed, there is just this urgency that you can experience because it's so light and nimble that you don't have that is numbed by weight.
Right.
Regardless of like how exotic it is or how much more power it has to overcome that weight. There's just something about like a really light car.
Absolutely. And you feel it all the time.
All the time.
You feel it at 20 miles an hour and you feel it at 100. It changes everything about the car. Yeah, and it makes the car. It makes the car. It's crazy. And so there's one other detail I want to bring out about the car. And at first I really thought it was a marketing gimmick, like it was a thing, like this guy was trying to build this driver's car, but the pencil pushers were like, well, you need something to get the headlines, right? And so that's where I came at it from. But after I've changed my mind, it's a fan car. It's a bona fide fan car.
What?
It has got a fan in the back that is creating downforce. Now it's not like sucking it to the ground like it's
not
like
a ground effects car,
right? It's not a ground effects car per se, but they're using the fan to alter the diffuser and like alter how air is traveling under the car and working with the diffuser and all that stuff that I wouldn't even pretend to understand, but it's using the fan to create downforce, and so it can create a considerable amount of downforce like at reasonable speed, so you get that when you're driving around on your back roads, when you're going 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour on your back roads, and you don't have to have some like huge obnoxious wing. Not that wings
Yeah.
can't be cool. The Senna's sweet. That's a cool wing, but you get to have a nice, like, not insane looking car.
It
and
really
has
is
some
a
downforce.
true. Yeah, it really is a true antithesis of those kind of cars, right? Sleek body, no big wing, really small, super light, stick, like the antithesis of today's modern supercar. That's cool.
Yeah, it absolutely. It's the antithesis. And I think it's the answer to all these cars getting made that it can't be driven and are pieces of art. Like, someone's like, you know what? I just want to drive something. I just want the finest thing that you can make.
Now, bringing this full circle, and we can
bring me back to the ground, because I've been living in, like, just dreamland in a world where
So who is gonna bring this idea? And maybe it already has happened. I don't think it has, though. But who is going to bring this idea to the masses? Who is going to make a car for $60,000 or less that's not about the numbers, that's all about the driving experience? It doesn't have anything to do with electricity. It's stick and relatively affordable. I don't know. I'm not going to afford a $60K car, but I'm just trying to be realistic with this.
Dylan,
right?
I'm going to let you know it's already happening.
It's happening. Okay, tell.
Dylan, it's the Boxster. It's the Boxster Cayman.
It's the Boxster Cayman.
It's already happening. You don't
happening.
have to worry about it. You can go get one right now. Stop worrying. It's like $60K for the base model.
Okay.
You go look at the paper, because you want to make sure it's slow, right? You want to make sure it's slower than the other stuff.
I'm looking this up.
There are a lot faster cars for $60K in almost every, even in their own segment, right? I think a 400Z is definitely faster. Mustang GT is faster. Supra's faster.
You might be
Base
right.
Boxster, it's a mid-engine car designed from the ground up to be a sports car. There you go.
There's
the answer.
You might be right.
And you can still get a stick shift.
You can still get a stick shift, too. I knew I liked the Cayman.
Now, and within our budgets, let's go buy ourselves some $5,000 ugly 986s. And everyone will make fun of us, but we'll know we're driving the best driver's car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I don't... Because I don't think it's a realistic ask for cheaper than that. Because then the argument is, well, it's the 86 or it's the Miata ND, and
absolutely
the thing that I neither of those cars are, both those cars are great. I don't want to take anything away from them, but there isn't the element of, I don't want to say sophistication, but like they are inexpensive cars built in quantity.
They're compromised.
Designed, exactly. They're not really designed to be the ultimate driving machine.
Yeah, 100, absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of compromises in them. I mean, they are both cars ground up to be sports cars, but compared to something like a Boxster, there's a lot of compromises. Now, I'd say you probably can't get what you're really looking for, so you go buy yourself a GT4 for $120K.
Accurate. That is the car. Actually, that is the car. That is the car. You know what? And that's bringing it full circle. We're ending on the car that we've been talking about. I feel like this whole episode it keeps on popping up.
Yes,
GT4.
yes, it does. Actually, it does every time.
Oh man. All right. Well, we just got to graduate. We just got to graduate. Yeah, graduate from child sports car Miatas to adult sports cars. Porsche.
Hopefully, we'll still be allowed to drive them on the streets when we get there.
Yeah, when I'm like 80 years old and like can potentially afford it at any point. All right. Yeah, let us know if we're overlooking any cars out there. I think you hit the nail on the head though there, Rob.
Yeah. Is there anything else like the T.40 or the Singer that is like the driver's car? That it's just the passion.
It's a Caterham. Actually, that's the answer to everyone's problems. Just a Caterham.
Caterham.
Just a
Caterham you can't drive that thing around.
You can't. Not especially not in the Northeast. That's like that. It would be like a two-month car.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want it, but like, yeah, it's a 2-month. I just get a motorcycle at that point. Yeah. It'd probably be safer. You know.
Accurate. All right. Well, thanks for listening to yet another edition of the Early Apex. And check us out on Instagram. We're starting to upload some stuff there. And branching out to all sorts of podcast hubs, hopefully the ones that you all are listening to.
yeah, that's right, guys. You know, you can just throw away another hour of your week with us next week.
Yeah. We'll crush it just like we crushed the Ferrari today. No problem. Throw it away. Never to be seen again.
All right. Till next time, guys.
See ya.